Hey YouTube, lately I've been thinking about making a video on how to purchase used road bikes. Recently I've acquired two road bikes off of my local classifieds, and I feel like I've done really well for myself. So I decided that I would share my tips with you guys, kind of let you guys know what I do when I go looking for a used road bike, and kind of show you the bikes that I've purchased. It's really expensive to get into road biking, so sometimes going used is the better option, and if you search hard, you can actually find some really good deals that can save you a lot of money. Okay, so these are the road bikes that I purchased off my classifieds just recently. This is a Schwinn Fastback Comp. I believe it's a 2006 model. And this is a Kona Deluxe, and I believe it's the 2005. But this bike does have significant upgrades on it. And over here is my CAD 10 that I did a review on, and I keep saying that I'm going to do a update video on that because I've made a lot of changes to it, so I will try to get to that soon. However, so this is the first used bike that I picked up, the Schwinn Fastback Comp. And I was really excited to pick this bike up for a number of reasons. And one being the price. I actually got it for $300, and the other being the drive chain. So on this bike it has almost full Shimano 105 on it. It has the Shimano 105 shifters, and Shimano 105 brakes, and the Shimano 105 derailleurs. Other great thing about this bike is it has the carbon fork and it has the carbon seat stays, and they are both in great condition. Also, I was pretty pleased with this bike because mostly when you think of Schwinn, you think of department store bikes that are pretty crappy these days. And with this one, it's one of their higher end ones, and the welds are done really smoothly on this bike. Bike's in great condition. There's hardly a scratch on this bike. So when I got this bike, I did a few things to it. I changed the rim strips out to some fabric rim strips because the original rim strips were pretty destroyed. And I put on the bottle cages, and I purchased these pedals for it. And these pedals are the XU-Star EPS-Rs. And I actually picked these up off Nashbar for, off Bike Nashbar for, I believe $27 on sale. And they've been a great pedal for the price, actually. They are Look Kyo style. They actually use the same cleats as the Look Kyos. So those are the pedals that I put on it. After the $300 I originally paid for the bike, I put about $60 total into it. So it was about $360 total for this bike after I fixed it up. The only thing on this bike that I wasn't necessarily fond with are the wheels. They're a little bit heavy. I believe the brand is called Gipiemi. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but they're pretty heavy wheels. But you know, they're roll true, and they do the job. So that is the first bike that I got off classifieds, and now I'm going to talk about the Kona. Okay, so this is the second road bike that I purchased off my classifieds, and this is the Kona Deluxe, and I got this bike for a steal. The price I paid for this bike was $375, and I got an excellent bike for that price. This bike only weighs 18 pounds 5 ounces, so it's pretty light, and the bike is in excellent condition. No dents in the frame. There's not even really a scratch on the frame. It looks pretty new, extremely well cared for. The main triangle of this bike frame is aluminum. However, the rear triangle is carbon. Both the seat stays and the chain stays are both carbon. And this bike has a full carbon fork on it. It's a great fork. It's the Easton EC90. So it is a super light fork. The components that came on this bike are great. The shifters are SRAM Rival. They look pretty new. They look like they haven't even been touched. There's not a scratch on them, and the texture is still all on the brake hoods. So great shifters on this bike. The brakes are Shimano Ultegra, so good solid brakes. The wheels on this bike are the Mavic Open Pro rims laced to Shimano Ultegra hubs. So they're also really good solid wheels. With the Ultegra hubs, they roll really well. The front derailleur is a Shimano Ultegra, and the pedals as well are Shimano Ultegra. They came with the bike. The crankset is an FSA compact crank, so it's a good crank. And the rear derailleur that came on the bike was actually a SRAM Force, and I actually have put the SRAM Force derailleur over on my CAD 10, and I swapped the rival derailleur on the CAD 10 over onto this bike. So for the component group, or for the components I got on this bike, for the price, it was an excellent deal. And I've been really impressed with this bike. It rides really solid. The bottom bracket's pretty stiff, so it's pretty zippy. It's an excellent bike for the low price of $375. Okay, so now that I've shown you the road bikes, I just kind of wanted to go over my tips for you guys when purchasing a good used road bike. So sometimes going used is a better option. Entry-level road bikes with the lowest quality components usually start around $700. That would be for bikes like the Trek 1.1 or the Specialized All-A with the base model components on it. And really, it would almost be more worth your money to look for a good used bike than get a bike with the lowest quality components. The advantage to buying new is you do get the warranty, and you usually do get a customer service package with your bike shop. However, if you know what to look for in a good used bike, then you can get an excellent deal. And that has been the case with both of these road bikes. They were both very inexpensive, and they have come with excellent parts and are both excellent bikes, especially this Kona. So just usually what I do when I'm starting to look for a used road bike, you kind of already have to have it made up in your head that you're going to pull the trigger and buy the road bike. You kind of have to have the cash on hand and ready. I look on my local classifieds, such as Craigslist, or my local news does a classified as well that actually has a road bike section. So if you have cash in hand and you've already made the decision to buy a bike, then you can be ready to go look at and pick up the bike whenever the deals come up, because they do come up, but they don't stay around for long. On both of these bikes, when I went to pick them up, the owners told me that I had just called, and right after me about 10 other people had called asking about the bike. So you have to be pretty quick. And with this Schwinn, I actually drove an hour at midnight to go get it. So you kind of gotta be willing to do what it takes to get there first with the money. So with this Kona, I just want to talk about kind of what to look for once you get there to make sure you are getting a good deal. First you'll want to look over the frame, make sure there's no dents or cracks. If it's an aluminum frame, check for heavy scratches, anything that may have looked for a wreck. Find out if it was find out if the owner was the first owner, and maybe try to get a little bit of history on the bike. Also, for carbon parts, check them over really carefully. Make sure that there's no dings in the carbon. Make sure there's no crunched fibers or cracks. Just check over the carbon really thoroughly, since it's a little bit more fragile and a little bit more prone to damage. If it's a carbon seat or a carbon chainstay, check the drive side to make sure that it's not beat up by the chain. Just check the general quality over visually, and also check the parts on the bike. Make sure the brakes are functioning well. Make sure the drive chain works. I like to bring a little bike stand with me that holds up the rear wheel so I can shift the drive chain and just kind of see how smoothly and how well the drive chain is functioning. With the bottom bracket, that's another good thing to check. I'll take my hand and wiggle the bottom bracket, make sure there's no play in it. I will spin it to make sure the bearings are good, make sure it's rolling smoothly. I'll also usually check over the parts that may need to be replaced to see if I'm really getting the deal that I think I am, or if I'm going to have to spend a lot of money on replacements. So I'll check the chain. I actually bring a chain checker with me, usually to check the stretch of the chain. So I'll see how stretched the chain is, how much life's left in the chain. Just look over the quality of the chain rings and the cassette to make sure it's in good condition. I'll check the pads on the brakes to make sure they have life in them still, or see if I need to be replacing those. And I'll check the quality of the tire, make sure there's no rips in the tires or major holes, to see if there's life left in the tires or if I'll have to replace them. Another thing that I make sure I do is I check the wheel quality. I'll spin them and look straight down to make sure they're spinning true, so I won't have to have that maintenance done. And I'll just generally check all the components of the bike and look it over really well. If it's dirty, that's not usually a big concern to me, because you can clean it up when you get home. But just the overall functionality of the bike and the condition of the frame and fork, I check over really well. So again, these are the two used road bikes that I recently purchased, the Schwinn Fastback Comp and the Kona Deluxe. Okay, so that wraps up my video on used road bikes, and if you guys have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave those below. If you guys have any more questions that I may have not covered on purchasing used road bikes, go ahead and drop me an email or just leave that in the comments below, and I'll try to get back with you quickly. Anyways, thanks for watching my video, and if you guys liked my video, it's always helpful to get a thumbs up, so thank you.